Welcome to Rashi, Parasha Study, Parashat Shelah. We're going to be seeing an interesting comment of Rashi in the story of the Menaglim. It's a comment that often we're familiar with, and we'll see that there's the depth of the comment of Rashi, and we'll also explore a little bit about what he doesn't say as well. The first pasuk of the Torah of the parasha, Shelach lecha anashim, Hashem telling Moshe, send for you people. The parasha opens up, God is speaking to Moshe, send for you meraglim, send for you anashim people to go spy the land. Okay. And Rashi comments and says, Shelach lecha for you. Shelach lecha, Rashi comments, da'atecha. If you want, on your own, it's up to you. Ani eni misavelecha. I'm not commanding you. I'm not saying Shelah anashim. Shelach lecha anashim. It's up to you. You could make the decision. Im tirtzeh Shelah. So obviously, it's obvious where Rashi gets this from the word lecha. If you want to send, send. But notice now what Rashi does. And he gives us the background to the story. Lefi shabal Yisrael ve'amru. Because Am Yisrael came to Moshe and he told them, and how does Rashi know? Am Yisrael came to Moshe and told them, because that's how Moshe said the story in Sefer Devarim. So it's a detail the Torah is leaving out and just hinting to by the word Shelach lecha. He says, Nishlach anashim lefanenu. And then, Kamash ne'emar v'tikbruna lekol lechem, Moshe nemlech v'shechina. They said, let's send people in front of us. And he brings a pasuk from Sefer Devarim to go spy the land. And Moshe said, okay, let me ask God what to do. Moshe nemlech v'shechina. And now we're getting the backhand of the conversation. Okay, Moshe asked the Shekhinah, now the Shekhinah is responding and telling him what to do. But all of a sudden, Rashi starts doing something very interesting. Look what he says. He says, Hashem wasn't just telling him, Le'da'aticha, meaning I'm not commanding you. There's a sense of, he's being dismissive. He's not really happy with what Moshe is asking. And therefore he tells him, Amar, ani amarti lehem shitova shneimar alei etchem ha'onim mitzrayim eretz ha'chalav v'dvash. I already told them that the land is good. It's a land of milk and honey. They don't need to check. Hayehem, שאני נותן להם מקום לטעות בדברי המרגלים למען לא יירשוע. Therefore, I swear I'm going to give to them a place to be to'eh, to make an error from the words of the Menaglim, in order so that they should not inherit it, they should not conquer the land, because I already told them it's good. What do they need to send spies? By the way, as a side point, this approach that they were sending spies to see if the land was good or not, is it worthwhile going to conquer, is according to Rashi. Ramban understands that Moshe is actually sending spies. His motivation is not if the land is good or not, but also because in Sumchin al Hanes, and they need to have, there's a military aspect of seeing the land as well, right? And also, Ramban adds, Moshe thought if Moshe tells them, listen, it's good, they wouldn't actually care, but instead they insisted. Okay. So interesting, what's the purpose of sending the land? But either way, Hashem Shelach lecha. Hashem adds something very interesting. I swear on their lives that I'm going to give them a way to be to'eh b'divrei hameraglim. So we look at this Rashi, we think he has two purposes here. We think he has a purpose of addressing the word lecha in the pasuk, and we think he has a purpose of matching up Sefer Bemidbar to Sefer Devarim and making congruence between the two stories, which is true. But this last idea that Rashi adds in, I said it was good, I'm going to let them make a mistake in order so that I don't inherit the land. What's happening? It's a little bit odd. Keep that in mind, and we'll see how this helps Rashi set up the rest of his commentary on the story. When we have the list of spies, it says Kulam Anashim. Rashi comments, Kol Anashim Shebamikra Lashon Hashivut. Any time we had the word, he's an Ish. What do you mean he's an Ish? I know he's a person, I know he's a man. What do you mean to tell me he's a man? In the sense of, he's a man, he's someone Hashuv, Lashon Hashivut. Therefore, the spies at that time, they were kasher, that's why we're calling them Anashim. They were kosher people, they were Hashuv people. Moshe is selecting purposefully important people. Why would Moshe need to select important people? Obviously, Moshe is nervous that maybe Hashem is right. So what is Moshe doing? Circumventing, perhaps, the idea by making sure to select the right spies. Rashi then comments, after the list of all the spies, when the Torah tells us, Vayikra Moshe leHosheya bin Nun Yehoshua, a very strange comment of Rashi, he palel alev, he prayed for him. Why is he adding the yud to his name? Yah Yoshiacha, God should save you. God should save you from what? Not just salvation, Hosheya, but God shall save you. What should God shall save him from? Me'asat meragilim, from the advice or from the plans of the meraglim that they're going to plan against Hashem. Now, what do you mean? Moshe, wait a minute. If you suspect, and this is the famous question, if you suspect that the meraglim are going to do something wrong, what are you sending them for? So what's happening? Again, go back. Moshe likes the idea. He thinks it's good. He thinks we should know militarily what to do. But he's suspicious of the people. Are they asking, is that the reason really why they're asking? Or do they have nefarious plans? He doesn't know. He asks God. God doesn't give him a clear answer. He says there's going to be room to make a mistake. So Moshe is trying to minimize the mistake. I know there's a possibility, so I'm going to pray for you. If whatever goes wrong, it shouldn't be you. And also, I'm going to select righteous people. It should be okay. That's what Moshe is thinking. And also, the Ramban argues elaborately that Moshe is kind of stuck by giving in to the people a little bit. He says, oh, I like that idea. And now the people say, okay, so since you liked it, why are you not doing it? Did Hashem tell you not to? No, Hashem didn't tell me not to. So if you think it's good, then why are you accusing us of being bad? So Moshe kind of gets stuck into it, interestingly enough, according to the reading of Ramban. But either way, we have this idea that Moshe knows there could be a suspicion. So already that comment of Rashi above helps us understand the motivations of Moshe. But not only that, when we continue reading the story, we see a couple of things. Number one, Vayavo at Hebron, Rashi commenting on the singular language of the verb Vayavo, should say Vayavo in plural. And Rashi comments, it says, Kalev, Levado halach sham. Only Kalev went. V'nishtatech al kivrei avot, to go pray on the graves of our forefathers. Hedei shelo nisat l'havirav, liyob'atzatam. Obviously, the kivrei avot, our forefather, Abraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov, and the Ma'arat Machpelah. And he's praying that he shouldn't be seduced by his friend's evil plot to speak out against the land. So, by the way, side point, interesting. Tosfot ask, based on the Gemara, do the Metim know what you're doing? Who is he praying to? What's exactly happening? Okay, interesting. It's a very interesting idea. What does this mean to go pray by Kivrei Avot? But either way, we definitely have this idea that Kalev is already sensing something is wrong in the story, and he's going to pray. He needs help. Hashem should make him strong to not fall into the plot of the rest of them. Then, when they're taking the fruits of the land, in the next pasuk, Rashi comments and says, Yehoshua and Kalev didn't carry any of the fruits. Why were they taking the fruits? They were planning on speaking evil. How so? Same way her fruit's weird. So to the nation that grows in this land is also weird. Look how big these fruits are. So they understood they had an evil intent, and therefore they didn't take on the fruits of the land. Even though it's interesting, because who commanded them to take fruits of the land? Moshe Rabbeinu. So therefore, already Yehoshua and Kalev are already sensing things are being funny here, and therefore it's worthwhile not to be, okay, let them fulfill the statement of Moshe to bring the fruits we're not going to bring because we see they're up to no good. So, and here the last Rashi, I think, really highlights the whole idea. Rashi v'yelchu v'yavo. They went and they came. Right when upon their return. And she says, we already know they left. They left 10 Pesukim ago. They're traveling the land. Now to say v'yavo. They returned. L'hakish halichatan l'biatan. No. The Torah wants to connect. And they're going and they're coming. Ma biatan be'hasara'ah. We know when they came back, they had bad plans, evil plans. Afalichatan be'sara'ah. So too when they left, they already had the malicious intent. They already had something wrong with them. They knew what they wanted to do when they were already going. The request was bad from the beginning. Notice what Rashi does here. He's commenting constantly throughout the parasha that it's not a malicious, it's not something that this went wrong, that they came back and all of a sudden they really got spooked by what they saw and they just decided to scare the people. Rashi is telling you that this is a planned attempt from the very beginning of the story. Therefore, it's important for Rashi, if he's going to read the story, that every detail is responding to Miraglim, and they already have the intent of malicious intent to speak bad against the land. Therefore, it's important for us to know that from the beginning of the story. Therefore, I need to know that the Miraglim was not sent by God, was sent by the people. And therefore, I need to know that Hashem saying, listen, Moshe, I don't like it. There's going to be room for bad to happen, which Rashi clearly gets from later on in the story by Yavo'u. I think that's the pasuk that kind of ties it all in for him. And Rashi is laying the framework for us, not just because we're concerned about the word lecha within the pasuk, or we're concerned about how to be mashveh Sefer Devarim to Sefer Bemidbar, but rather Rashi wants us to understand. He's laying the framework, he's laying the lens for us of reading the story as these are people who are doing evil, that the request was probably malicious from the very beginning. Now, it's interesting also to point out what Rashi does not do. Rashi does not, at any point in time, try to explain why Sefer Bemidbar doesn't open up with the detail of Sefer Devarim. But that's a question he's not interested. He's interested in, this is the information I need you to know. It fits with the word lecha in the pasuk. It's important for you to know to understand the rest of the story. It's important for you to know so that you don't think there's a contradiction between Sefer Bemidbar and Sefer Devarim. But what Rashi never gets to is that the bigger question, so we'll call it, of why. Why is the Torah written that way? And it could be that she wasn't bothered by it. It could be he believed there was an overall approach that she had that was very obvious to him, and therefore he never bothered to address it whenever it came up at any local situation. But that's something that's to keep in mind. What's not being addressed from the story, but also to focus and to understand exactly what Rashi is addressing for us when he mentions something. It's not just always for the pasuk itself, but often because he's interested in framing the sequence of events that's going to carry us throughout the whole story, of helping us understand the story according to his approach. Shabbat Shalom.